All right, so we're diving deep today into allergy-friendly gardens.
Sounds perfect for spring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We got a ton of requests from listeners who want to get out there and enjoy their gardens, but allergies are holding them back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So, looks like they sent us an article called "Plant These Flowers If You're an Allergy Sufferer." Like me, Angela Lazaro.
Okay.
It's from a licensed realtor, so, someone who's probably seen her fair share of gardens.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we're going to try to figure out, what flowers they recommend that you can plant and actually enjoy without, the sneezing and the itchy eyes and all that.
Yeah, let's make that garden a sanctuary, not a trigger zone, right?
Exactly. So first up, they talk about daffodils.
Daffodils, okay.
Yeah, those classic, yellow, orange, white flowers.
Yeah, love those.
Everyone loves them. And apparently they're good for allergy sufferers because they don't produce a whole lot of pollen.
Ah, that makes sense, because it's really those pollen grains, floating around in the air that get us.
Right. Less pollen, less problems.
Exactly.
Okay, so next on the list, we have geraniums.
Geraniums, oh, nice. Those are great.
Yeah, they're pretty popular. You see them all over the place in lots of different colors, like reds, pinks, those softer pastel colors.
Yeah, and they're pretty low maintenance, too, which is a bonus.
Oh, that's good to know. So, yeah, another good option if you're trying to avoid, setting off your allergies.
Definitely. I think they're a good choice for pretty much any garden style, too, whether it's formal or, more casual.
Now, roses are kind of tricky.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, some of them can be really bad for allergies.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
But the article says that there are some special types, low pollen roses, or even some that are fragrance-free.
Oh, wow. So you can still have roses, just got to be picky about which ones.
Exactly. It's all about those hybrid cultivars. Apparently, they've been bred to be less allergy-inducing.
That's fascinating how they can actually control that.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so moving on, we've got zinnias.
Zinnias. Okay. I'm not as familiar with those.
They're really colorful and pretty easy to grow. But the thing that makes them good for people with allergies is that their pollen is heavy and sticky.
So it doesn't fly around as much.
Exactly. It kind of just stays put instead of, floating around in the breeze.
That makes sense. I guess that's probably why they attract more insects to pollinate them.
Oh, yeah, like bees and butterflies.
Yeah, because they're not relying on the wind to carry their pollen.
No, for something a little more exotic, there's orchids.
Orchids, those are beautiful.
Yeah, they are. And they're generally considered hypoallergenic.
Really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, well, it's because their pollen is also heavy and not easily dispersed.
So similar to zinnias in a way.
Exactly. It's all about that pollen structure.
Yeah. It's amazing how these tiny little differences can make such a big impact.
It really is okay.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the article mentions snapdragons.
Snapdragons. Oh, yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, those ones with the unique blooms that kind of look like dragon heads.
Right, and they come in a bunch of different colors, too.
Yeah, so they're pretty versatile,
Yeah.
and they're also relatively low in pollen.
Okay, so another winner for allergy sufferers.
Definitely. But, the article makes a really good point here.
What's that?
It says, even though these flowers are generally considered allergy-friendly, everyone's different.
Oh, yeah, for sure, right?
So, what might be fine for one person could still trigger someone else's allergies.
That's true. I guess you got to pay attention to your own body and how you react.
Exactly. Do a little test run before you plant a whole garden full of something.
Yeah, good advice.
And they also mention some just general gardening tips that can help with allergies.
Like what?
Well, things like watering regularly, choosing plants that are disease resistant,
Okay, makes sense.
and keeping your garden nice and tidy so you don't get like mold growing and stuff.
Ah, so it's not just about the flowers themselves, it's about the whole environment.
Exactly. It's about creating a healthy space all around.
I like that.
So basically the takeaway here is that you don't have to give up on having a beautiful garden just because you have allergies.
Yeah, there are options.
You just got to choose the right plants,
Yeah,
like these ones we talked about, and be smart about how you take care of your garden.
totally. And it's really cool to learn about how different plants have adapted to spread their pollen in different ways.
Yeah, like who knew that pollen could be heavy and sticky, and that makes a difference for us.
Right. It makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden in the plant world. How else they might be affecting us without us even realizing it.
That's a great point. There's so much we still don't know.
Exactly. It's fascinating to think about.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into allergy-friendly gardens.
It was my pleasure.
And we'll catch you next time for another exploration.
Looking forward to it.
All right, take care.
You too.